our first reader. Oh yes, love this lady. So our first reader, she loves eating and making artisanal toast. And she once touched Andre the Giant's arm. Please welcome second-year fiction Ph.D. Wendy Wimmer.
It's so great to see you guys out here. I feel a little weird because I actually was part of the event, the last event at the old location with Elizabeth McCracken, and now I'm here for the first event at the new location, so I guess I'm also available for weddings and bar mitzvahs. But I believe there's a signed copy of Bolaway from Elizabeth McCracken if you did miss that great event. And if you make a huge donation, I'll read some of it to you. Promise. This is a short story that nobody's ever heard before, and I'm excited to have some of my creative writing students here. One of the things I tell them in creative writing workshop is usually it's not a good idea to cold open a story with some dialogue. This short story cold opens with some dialogue, so I may have made a terrible mistake. All right, this is called Text from Beyond. Hello, Fluid Tel customer support. This is Tyler. How may I be of service? Hi, my husband's texts aren't coming through right. Another one of these. I knew without asking her that her husband was dead. We got about 15% of our calls from customers who are having problems with their TFB, text messages from beyond the grave. Human Resources told me to bounce any TFB calls to coworkers. Apparently that's what the new process is when an employee experiences a loss. I hated that phrase, experienced a loss. Like if I looked hard enough, I might find my wife Cassie somewhere. Like perhaps she's in the laundry room, maybe in the basement, hidden behind some Christmas ornaments. I might pop down there and say, baby, I've been looking for you everywhere. And Cassie would chide me for my piss poor attempt at wrapping the light strings when we took the tree down back in January. And maybe she would have found her daughter Violet down there too, overlooked, busily constructing a dollhouse out of a storage box. I guess I'm just the kind of guy who keeps losing stuff. My wife, my daughter. I didn't want to dump someone just because of my own personal problems, so I kept the call. How long has your husband been deceased, ma'am? 15 years. I just got this phone so I could talk to Daryl. I don't know what I'm not doing right. Fluid Tel's official script for call center agents was to remind the customer that it can take some time for individual loved ones to get through, and then offer to upsell them on a more comprehensive text package, one that offered unlimited text messaging so that when the dead did start to send text messages, the customer would be able to focus all of their reunion through Fluid Tel's network, which was the best network coverage in the country, without them worrying about being charged per text message. Customers usually never understood that they got charged for text messages that they sent and the ones they received. That usually tipped them over the edge, especially when their dead loved ones started texting. Dead people didn't care about per text charges. Dead people just wanted to check more things off their to-do list. Right wrongs, finger murderers, accuse children of being greedy, tell people they were loved, that kind of thing. Dorothy's personal account profile had come up automatically through the ticketing system when she dialed in. It detailed her address, an apartment number in a sketchy part of town, and her payment history, always received within 7 days of being billed. She only had a cell phone for 18 months, and one of my quota-driven coworkers had already set her up with a plan that gave her a whopping 14,000 text messages per month, which is what we referred to as the PTODD, the preteen or drug dealer plan. Dorothy's voice was sweet. That voice needed to be reading aloud about big bad wolves and houses made of candy. Life's cruel joke probably meant that she never had kids with Daryl. I wanted to ask, and I also didn't want to ask because it would make it seem like Fluid cared about her life, like she mattered. Lies. But not having kids, that was something I knew about. You're doing everything exactly right, ma'am. Shouldn't he have texted by now? Did he have any hobbies when he was with us? Oh, Daryl had spent all November out in the woods with our dog Snickers, hunting deer. Only saw a buck once or twice, but I think all that outdoor air was good for him. Well, he might be up in the best hunting grounds you can imagine with Snickers right now. You know, time doesn't move the same way up there. Daryl probably never texted in his life, or was even aware that it was even possible 15 years ago when he left. Texts from beyond always came from people who used their smartphones like a second mouth, who looked into that box and spilled themselves into it, people who might have had some of the essence of their whatever it was trapped in the ether already. Scientists didn't know why it had started happening. Tests were still being done. Secret messages whispered to dying, techno-loving patients, dutifully texted back hours after death, but sometimes not at all. And the truth was this. Even if you could resurrect Daryl and hand that confused shell of a man an iPhone, he wouldn't have been able to turn it on. He wouldn't have had the muscle memory to swipe, to thumb the QWERTY keyboard to push send, much less the added complication of traversing the corporeal wiring of the internether to send a note to his beloved Dorothy, who waited for him, who would always be waiting. Have you gotten a text from over there? No. I'm going to prioritize your text service so that when he's able to get to a phone, his message will be the first in our queue to go through. Oh, really? Would you do that? She sounded happy. It made me happy for just a moment. Just a moment until I let myself remember. Absolutely, ma'am. You're one of FluidTel's best customers, and this is a service that's reserved for only our top-tier clients. My voice might have sounded cheerful to anyone who didn't know better, like Dorothy. Maybe she bought it. Oh, well, I'm nothing special. That's very kind of you. She bought it. I moused over to her rate plan and bumped it down to level 1, the entry-level plan that didn't do much data. Some people... Oops. Sorry about that. Some people... missing page 4. Sorry. Yes, okay, sorry. Bumped it down to level 1, the entry-level plan that didn't do much data and charged per individual text message. We also have a special going this month for customers who haven't yet gotten a text message from their loved ones. This should help your monthly bill out somewhat. I ticked the has been contacted by via TFB box on her customer profile so that she'd be less likely to get thrown into the list of commissioned salespeople calling to upsell, ready to dangle Daryl and her long waiting like a gambler's fallacy of time spent and the prize being due. Oh, my. Thank you. I'm on a fixed income and every little bit helps. Do you think he'll text? He never sent me love notes when we were married. I'm sure of it. Thank you for your call. Oh, and I'm sorry for your loss, but I had already disconnected. I should have taken time off for the bereavement leave, but I couldn't afford not to work. The payments on Violet's surgeries were crucial. Insurance had paid most of it, but I still owed $8,000 on the deductible, plus the funeral expenses. We bought 3 plots, one for Violet and one for Cassie and me. Such a tiny bit of land, who knew it cost so much? It had to be $100 a square inch. We had picked out a beautiful white marble headstone for Violet, and then the engraving was ridiculous. Who buys a stone without words on it? We had to. The thought of Violet sitting there under a nameless tombstone. Dinah, you have a call. The thought of Violet sitting there under a nameless tombstone. We can engrave later, bit by bit, first her beautiful name, then her birthday, then a reminder to future generations that this beautiful little girl was loved by parents too stupid to watch this miracle every precious second of her child-sized life. A few weeks after Violet's funeral, Cassie got a text message from an unknown number. It was an emoji of a lady dancing. Who is this? Cassie wrote back. Baby carriage, the texter replied back. Cassie ignored it. Again, 2 days later, baby carriage. Some people thought the TFB were a form of control by the dark arm of the government, a nefarious plan put in place by the new executive and his dark need to inflict order. Head shock, they called it, using everyone's collective grief to control us, keep us distracted. It worked. I grabbed Cassie's phone and typed in, "Go to hell! Stop texting us or we'll report you for cyber stalking." In response, a picture of a monkey. Monkey had, of course, been the nickname we always called Violet. The next day, another monkey, and then a hot fudge sundae. The day of the accident, Violet had been begging for a hot fudge sundae. Okay, what kid doesn't beg for a hot fudge sundae? Every kid does, probably every day. We hadn't mentioned hot fudge sundaes in the house, where our smart thermostat might have been eavesdropping. It's another conspiracy theory that our smart devices that listen constantly for their own trigger word were actually eavesdropping and applying big brother, big data to influence our voting patterns. But we knew that we couldn't have given any spy device the words hot fudge sundae. Cassie and I couldn't bear to talk about Violet at all, really, after the accident. There's no way that Big Brother could have known about the freaking hot fudge sundae. After that hot fudge sundae came another dancing lady emoji. And then a man, and then an ambulance, and then a dove. The phone wouldn't stop. It was dropping coins in the wishing well of our brains. Violet was speaking to Cassie. Violet was over there. Heart, we texted back together. Heart, and then a purple flower. Cassie never wondered why the text started coming. She never wondered why only she got texts. Princess with brown hair, the phone said. Cassie had brown hair. Cat with a big tear. Red car. Ambulance. Church with a heart over it. Cassie stared at the phone. The funeral. She remembers the funeral. I didn't say anything. Neither did my phone. Violet wanted her mom, that was all. Cassie consoled me. Cassie's tight brown curls fell forward, covering her face as she waited for the next text. Blue light shining up, her eyes contained in a square of light. I nodded, tight-lipped. My own phone was useless, a brick to hurl into the empty sky. Then Cassie's phone went silent for a few days. She panicked. Then she got a picture of a monkey holding its hands over its mouth. Speak no evil. Someone's telling her not to say anything. Come on, asshole! Cassie screamed at the ceiling, her rage and grief combined. In 1 minute she'd smile, and in another it would transform into a sob. It was worse than losing Violet the first time. Family, Cassie would text back every hour. Family, heart, purple flower. Family, heart, monkey. Family, family, heart, girl with blonde hair. Cassie stopped working because she didn't want to miss a text. We couldn't say the reason why. We hadn't even told our parents about the TFB. They would demand that I fix their phones so that Violet would start talking to them too. Like grandparents had some kind of first spot in line to talk to their dead grandchildren. Their kids were still alive, Cassie and me. Our parents had no idea what we were experiencing. Cassie took screenshots daily of the past TFBs and mailed them to herself, to me, afraid that somehow these whispers would be gone the next time she looked at the phone. I still haven't gotten around to engraving Violet's headstone yet. Cassie doesn't have a headstone. Violet knew how to text because she'd played with our phones, teethed on them, knew that the magic was captured there in those black, unblinking screens. I guess, in a good way. It's a good thing Cassie never even considered that it could be me logging into the back end of FluidTel at work, plugging her phone number in and sending her that first message of the lady dancing. Be happy, dancing lady. I might have thought Violet would want her mom to be happy and dance again. I'm sorry about the hot fudge sundae. I'm sorry that I turned my back for a minute. I'm sorry that her little girl was lost. Hear me now. I don't even remember now what I was thinking. Maybe it was simple. Listen, we are still a family. Our heart is a purple flower. We are still a family. Come back to me. The worst part of it all was that each time, for a moment, I would forget that I had sent the emoji. For a moment, it would appear that our little girl would be alive again, be not lost. Our girl was there. And then I remember I sent the text. Until, that is, the emoji I didn't send. I'd stopped after the baby carriage and the purple flower. Have another baby, I was trying to say. Violet will want that. But those tiny pictures were wrapping Cassie up instead of giving her closure. It felt dangerous, counterproductive. It was all she could think about, all she could see. So I stopped. Purple flower. Violet signing off. Then, out of nowhere, came the monkey holding its hands over its mouth. That wasn't me, I wanted to tell her. That really was Violet, or the government, or someone at FluidTel logging into the back end. But it was probably Violet, texting from somewhere, texting us from hell, or for heaven, or somewhere inside of our hearts, willing her to be in the room with us. It was Violet, and it was real. It was all real. But I couldn't explain. I couldn't tell my wife that it was really Violet's spirit, that some kind of insane magical event had happened because Cassie believed it had been so all along. She didn't understand that our dead daughter was telling me to stop being her mouth, stop toying with her mom, stop before it was too late. And I lost Cassie anyway. Lost her in the Fluid Tell employee handbook metaphor, and lost her in the real world meeting, but not in that order. My truest heart. The one person in the world that allowed me to create something wonderful for the first time in my life. My terrible fingers that had typed a dancing lady into a black lidless eye. The same terrible fingers that twitched when I had gotten a notification on my phone while walking out to the street with Violet that one day. Somebody had mentioned me on Twitter. I turned my face for just a second. Just a second. Cassie was recovered against the rocks on the beach 2 weeks later after she'd gone missing. And now, Cassie knew. She knew the reason for my surprised face, confused face, sad face, when that unexpected monkey emoji appeared. Now she knew everything. That's why the phone was blank. Now I was destined to always be a confused face. Not because she couldn't text me from beyond, but because she wouldn't. Cassie knew what I had done to Violet, to her. Face with open mouth and cold sweat. Face screaming. Dorothy's Daryl, on the other hand, would never send such a message. He wouldn't know how. I went into the back-end GUI and I typed in Dorothy's number. I only get one message, darling, so here it is. I'm here watching you. I love you. I got Snickers here. Be happy and don't come too soon. Snickers is keeping me company. Keep me alive down there as long as you can, my love. Signed, D. Dog face, smiling face, relieved face. I set it to be delivered in 2 days. Then I put my own phone number in and set the text to be delivered in 48 days. Maybe I'd forget I'd sent it, even if just a moment. 2 hearts. Smiling face with a halo. Bride with a veil. Raising both hands in celebration. It would be good, just for a moment. It would be good and it would be worth it. Confused face. Weary face. Weary face. Family. Thank you.